Hey, what's up everyone? Bestinwest here, and if you haven't noticed already, I'm missing a little bit of hair right here, and missing a little bit of hair right here, but if you're curious as to why I'm missing so much hair, it's because I recently just got back from my trip in Thailand, where I actually became a Buddhist monk for about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. It was a really eye-opening experience, but I won't really get into that. I'll go into that in a separate video. If you aren't into learning or knowing about my trip and what I did when I was away for about 3 weeks, feel free to skip that video. I won't force you guys to watch it, but if you're curious, keep an eye out for that video to come. But today's video, I'm gonna go over my Timeless Cup weighted tournament. I went 4-1, which isn't bad at all. I did very little prep for it. I probably prepped maybe 2-3 days, so I got in as much practice battles as I could, and I say 4-1 is not that bad. So yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it. Let's go. So it's gotten kind of cold. I'm not used to having a shaved head in America yet. In Thailand it's still pretty warm, so I'm gonna be wearing a beanie today. Might look a little weird, but it's really cold. So for this tournament, I decided with my team, I went with Charizard as my starter. I also brought in Victory Bell because if you don't have a grass in this cup, the Mud Boys will just run through your team, right? Like Whiscash is a monster in this cup, so you have to have a pretty good counter to it, and in my case it's Victory Bell. I'm also bringing Lapras, and that Lapras is running Surf and Skull Bash along with Ice Shard. And I forgot to mention, in this tournament I was actually running Victory Bell with Sludge Bomb and Acid Spray. And that's actually because I forgot that this Victory Bell was running that moveset, and I did not TM it to Leaf Blade. So that wasn't because I didn't have any TMs, that was because of I changed my team last minute before the tournament due to some advice from Arrow. So shout out to you, Arrow, you helped me go 4-1. Initially, I was running Torkoal and Meganium, so instead I went with Charizard and Victory Bell. But because I did that, I didn't have Leaf Blade on my Victory Bell. So it is what it is. It's okay though. I still went 4-1. I don't think it cost me, but we'll find out in a second. I'm also bringing Dragonair, and Dragonair is a great Pokemon. It is running, is not a return Dragonair. Return got updated before my tournament, so this Dragonair is running Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail, and Dragon Pulse. Kingdra is running the standard moveset Outrage and Octazooka, and Whiscash is running Mud Bomb and Blizzard. So for my first opponent, you've seen him before. He's a great guy, Doggy Ollie. He's running a very similar team. Instead of a Victory Bell, he is running a Meganium, and he has no fire Pokemon, but instead he is running a Celio, and I guess his alternative to a Kingdra would be a Skuntank. Both of them are kind of a generalist of some sort. So yeah, first round, let's check it out. So going into this first battle against Doggy Ollie. Alright, I lead off with Whiscash, he leads off with Dragonair. So this is actually a positive matchup for me. I can actually go straight Mud Bomb and win this matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and charge up to Blizzard and try to possibly bait him with a Mud Bomb. So see if he shields. He does shield, so I'm going to charge up again to another Blizzard and go ahead and use another Mud Bomb. He goes ahead and uses Aqua Tail, and I block that. He gets another charge move off, but this time I decide to shield again. I'm not exactly sure why I did that, but I think it was the right move. I go ahead and let go this second Mud Bomb. He shields again, seeing that he has a lot of health. I go ahead and get this Blizzard off now, and it's going to knock out his Dragonair. So luckily for me, my double shields were not to waste, I go ahead and get this Mud Bomb off on the Skuntank. So this is gonna deal super effective damage, and I'm kind of surprised he brought in Skuntank to eat that Mud Bomb. He's gonna go ahead and use a charge move right here to knock out this Whiscash. If he didn't, then I may have been able to get to that another Mud Bomb and knocked out his Skuntank. So at this point, I have a couple options. I go ahead and go with the Charizard to try to farm down this Skuntank. Unfortunately for me, he does get another charge move off right here. Crunch, I have no more shields, but I do have enough energy to get to this Blast Burn, and he has no more shields, so this Blast Burn is going to deal a ton of damage. And he does knock me out with a couple of Powder Snows. I send in my Lapras, and at this point he's not dealing a ton of damage to me, but I'm also not dealing a ton of damage to him. So he's going to get a Body Slam off. Deals a decent amount of damage. He gets another Body Slam off, and that sucks for me, but at the same time, Body Slam doesn't deal too much damage because Lapras is just kind of a tank. I get this Surf off. I think that was a CMP tie actually, so knock out that Celio, and I Ice Shard down that Skuntank. So GG for that first battle. Luckily I was able to take it. A couple good baits. So yeah, let's go on to the next battle. Alright, so for the second battle, I decided to actually go with Whiscash, Lapras, and Charizard. This is the same lineup that I went with the first battle, and this lineup was actually inspired by Arrow himself. When I was practicing with him, I asked him for his advice. That's something that you should definitely do with your practice partners that aren't going to be in the same tournament as you. If they participated in the tournament already, ask them what's worked for them, because yeah, there's no reason to not use the resources that you have already, right? So he did pretty well in LA. You can go ask him on Twitter, whatever, and I'll leave a link to his channel in the description down below. But pretty much he said lead Whiscash and then go and don't be afraid to switch in Lapras on a bad matchup, because like 70% of the time your opponent is going to switch out knowing that they have a positive matchup against Whiscash, so they want to make sure they preserve that, and they might switch into a negative matchup or a matchup that's not as positive as a grass matched up against Lapras, because that's already a great matchup, right? So I decided to use Arrow strategy of Whiscash, Lapras, and Charizard. So let's see how we do. Alright, he leads off with Celio. I lead off with Whiscash. And I'm trying to get to this Mud Bomb. I go ahead and get this Mud Bomb off. I think he got an extra Powder Snow, but it's not going to be too bad. He's going to get this Body Slam off. I think he's going to go back-to-back Body Slams just because he charged up for a long time. I do get a Mud Shot off in between, so that's good for me. I do shield this Body Slam. I get this Mud Bomb off, and so pretty much I'm just going Mud Bomb spam, because there's no point in like trying to bait the Blizzard, because it's not going to deal any damage to Celio. Another Mud Bomb, he decides to shield that one, so I can take a Body Slam, but I think he's going to go back-to-back Body Slams. So let's see if I can get this Mud Bomb off. Yes, I am able to get the Mud Bomb off, and he's either going to have to shield or he's going to let this Celio faint. He does let the Celio faint, and so I have switch advantage now. He sends in Meganium. He gets a couple Vine Whips off, but this is a good setup for me because I can bring in Charizard. He switches, and I switch, or I try to switch right away into Lapras. So this is again a positive matchup for me. He does get a charge move off. I decide not to shield. Oh, I decide to shield it, and unfortunately for me, it is an Aqua Tail. I do get this Surf off, and it is going to either knock him out or he's going to shield. So he decides to shield. He's going to get another charge move off. Yes. So I could have gotten that Surf off, but he gets his charge move off before I can. So Dragon Pulse knocks out my Lapras, but luckily he has no more health, and my Charizard comes in, and I know he has a Meganium in the back, have enough energy for a Blast Burn, and that's going to be GG for game number 2 of the first round. Blast Burn just like one shots Meganium pretty much. Plus I did some super effective damage to his Meganium earlier, so that's yeah. So we're going into this last battle. I'm gonna do a third battle, and so this one I'm gonna kind of show you like what I'm looking at. I feel like he is going to be expecting a Whiscash lead. So this time, I believe I'm going to lead with Charizard. Let's see. Yeah, so I lead with Charizard and I switch out Whiscash for a Kingdra. I don't really know why I switched out into Kingdra, but I get the Meganium lead, so that's just very good luck on my part. So he switches into Dragonair, I switch out into Lapras right away. So again, this is a positive matchup for me. I'm charging up to a Skull Bash, but I may not need to. He uses Dragon Pulse and I shield it, luckily. I'm gonna go just straight for the Skull Bash. And he decides to let that go. I do get the defense buff, and so luckily for me, the defense buff is going to be pretty good, and I am dealing super effective damage to this Meganium. Unfortunately, Frenzy Plant is going to knock me out either way, so I let that go because I have Charizard still, and so I'm waiting out the switch timer, and I bring in Charizard. So Charizard is going to deal super effective damage, and I switch in my Kingdra into his Celio. So this isn't the greatest matchup for me, but it's not the worst matchup for me either, because I am dealing neutral damage. He's dealing neutral damage back to me. Gets 2 body slams back to back, and I think I shield this because I need to knock out the Celio with my Kingdra. Because I need that Charizard for that Meganium. So I get this Octazooka, and luckily for me, I got the Attack Harshly Fall debuff on the Celio. So this isn't going to knock me out, luckily, because of that Attack Fall. But he gets another Body Slam off, and this is going to knock me out. I'm going to try to farm down this Celio, but he ends up switching. So he gets a charge move off right here. Even if it's an Earthquake, it's not going to knock me out, but it does get me pretty low. I go ahead and Air Slash him down, use this Dragon Claw. Now I have enough energy to hit this Celio twice with two back-to-back Dragon Claws. So luckily for me, I guessed the lead correctly, and sometimes you just need luck, right? And that's what happened this round. So thanks for the battles, Doggy Ali. GG. Alright, so for the second round, I am going up against Sir Chris. Sir Chris has been kind of on a tear this second season. He's been doing really well. He hasn't won any like big tournaments yet, but he's been very consistent. He's like lost 1 battle each tournament. So he's been showing up to the El Cerrito tournaments and doing really well. So Sir Chris, he's running Blaziken, Dragonair, Victory Bell, Venomoth, Lapras, and Quagsire. So Sir Chris actually went 4-1 as well. He actually made it to the championship round, and unfortunately he fell in the championship round, but he plays extremely well. He has a spreadsheet. Unfortunately for me, I did not have a spreadsheet. I didn't have my notebook. I was not super prepared for this tournament, but what I kind of see is that he has a slight weakness to Razor Leaf, but that Venomoth is kind of scary. I'm hoping that I won't see it because I have a Whiscash, I have a Charizard, and the other Pokemon will deal a decent amount to Venomoth because Venomoth is kind of squishy. But other than that, Blaziken, I'm assuming that it's a fighting Blaziken, so I have to watch out for Blaziken against my Lapras. And Quagsire is kind of an interesting Pokemon. It will do a good amount of damage to my Charizard. It will do super effective damage to my Lapras as well because of the Stone Edge. So those are good things for Lapras over Quagsire. For Quagsire over Whiscash. But I feel like Quagsire doesn't have the fast spammy moves, so it needs to get those shields burned. But it does put shield pressure on your opponent because it can't just take those mud bombs the same. It can't just you at going up against a Quagsire can't just take mud bombs when you're expecting a mud bomb, right? You have to worry about whether it's a Stone Edge or an Earthquake. But anyways, let's just get straight into the battle against Sir Chris. Alright, getting straight into the battle, we have Whiscash versus Quagsire. So this is actually a positive matchup for Whiscash. Whiscash will get to those neutral mud bombs faster than Quagsire can get to those neutral earthquakes, right? So I charge up to a blizzard, and he does use an earthquake, and I'm going to go ahead and use a mud bomb right here. I charge up to a blizzard, so hopefully he thinks that I'm using blizzard, and he does shield it. So I'm going to go ahead and use another mud bomb right here, hoping that he thinks that I have another blizzard. Unfortunately for me, he does not think I have another blizzard, or he decides to just like take it if I did. He uses another earthquake. Fortunately, I do not need to shield that. I go ahead and use another mud bomb right here. And again, these mud bombs are coming out way faster than his earthquakes, so I am able to get another mud bomb. And if he doesn't shield this, this is going to knock out his Quagsire. He does decide to shield it because he has a lot of energy built up. Fortunately for me, I spent all my energy already. He uses Stone Edge and knocks out my Quagsire. At this point, I think I go ahead and go in with my Lapras because he just spent all his energy, and I'm able to knock out his Quagsire before he gets to Stone Edge. So I preserve that shield, get some energy. He brings out Victory Bell. I tried to switch initially, but it didn't go through, unfortunately. But it's okay. I get this Skull Bash off, and luckily it goes through. No, he had no more shields, so it went through. He has a Dragonair, and I get this Surf off. Because I got the defense boost to my Lapras, I'm also able to get a few more Ice Shards in. And as you can see, Dragonair has very little health left, but he is going to have 2 Aqua Tails back to back because he farmed that Lapras so hard. Not back to back, but he gets to a second Aqua Tail, and it's going to deal a significant amount of damage. But not knock out my Charizard, and I am able to air slash him down with very little HP left. So that came down to those Ice Shards, and that Surf from Lapras came up big. So I'm very lucky for that. So let's go on to the second battle. Alright, so for the second battle against Sir Chris, I see that he has kind of a weakness to Victory Bell. So I go ahead and lead off with Victory Bell. And so I'm just hoping that he doesn't lead off with Venomoth, because that would be the worst case scenario in my opinion. Because Venomoth would be resisting those Razor Leafs, and he would be dealing super effective damage back to me. Blaziken, although he does have super effective charge moves, I don't have to worry too much about them because I am going to be resisting those counters, and as a lead I do have shields, so I can go ahead and use those shields if I need to. So with that being said, let's get to the battle. I lead off with Victory Bell, I bring in Lapras and Charizard. So the Victory Bell lead mirror, so this isn't the best scenario because he has so many weaknesses to Victory Bell, but at the same time it's not the worst case scenario either. So I'm going to go ahead and get this Sludge Bomb off. And I'm expecting a shield, so that's okay as well. He gets a charge move off right here. And what do? I decide to shield it. It's a Leaf Blade. Unfortunately, I do block it. So he's going to get to another charge move before I get to mine. And it is going to be another Leaf Blade. But I let this go because I have Charizard in the back. And I need at least 1 shield for Charizard. So I think I go in with Lapras, yeah, to try to farm down this Victory Bell, but that Victory Bell Razor Leaf does so much damage so fast. Sends out Quagsire, which isn't a terrible matchup for me. He does have Stone Edge, and I do have to be wary of it, but these Surfs are going to deal a decent amount of damage to Quagsire. And he's going to get a charge move. I was able to get an extra Ice Shard in there, so this Stone Edge is not... it is going to KO me. I probably should have shielded that, but that's okay. And he's going to get a charge move off right here. It's another Stone Edge. and if I don't block it, it deals double super effective damage. He switches out into Dragonair, and this is a terrible matchup for me. It's pretty much over at this point. I just losing that lead set him up for the rest of this, so he wins with extra shield and almost a full health Dragonair. So that's just a matter of losing the lead, losing the round, losing the battle, right? So Sir Chris, well played. He just won the lead and won the rest of the battle. Holding the lead is not super easy. You have to play it correctly, and he played it very well. So congratulations. So at this point, we're 1-1. Whoever wins this next battle will win the round, and you'll see what happens. So in this third battle, I do decide to go back to my Whiscash, Lapras, Charizard a la Arrow. Just because I feel like that's a very solid lineup. If I do run into Victory Bell, then I quickly switch into Lapras and play it out then. But otherwise, I'm not too afraid of his other Pokemon, right? Like Blaziken, that's a slam dunk. Dragonair, I could win. Lapras, I can pretty much deal a significant amount of damage. Quagsire, I'll win. But let's see how this plays out. So I lead off with Whiscash, he leads off with Quagsire. So we saw this in the first round that I can actually win this battle. But I tried to do something a little sneaky this time. I think I tried to go for a Blizzard, and that doesn't go so well for me. Goes ahead and uses an Earthquake right here. I do shield that. And I use a Mud Bomb. I'm not sure if he... So he doesn't decide to block it this time. So I go ahead and go for the Blizzard, and watch this. The one time I go for the Blizzard, he decides to block it. So that pretty much won him the round. He's going to end up winning this lead. He uses a second Earthquake, and at this point, I don't have too many options. I go for the Mud Bomb. I'm not sure if he shields it or not. If he shields it, then that's great. If he doesn't, then I have to use another Mud Bomb. And I do use it, but he's going to get a shield maybe. Nope, he just lets it go. He opts for the shield advantage, and he switches in his Victory Bell, and this is a positive matchup for him. I had to switch in my Lapras because I had so much health left on that Whiscash. I couldn't let that Whiscash go. So I pretty much sacrificed Lapras to Victory Bell, and I go ahead and bring in my Charizard. He brings in his Dragonair. I am switch locked at this point because that Victory Bell just tears through my Lapras so fast. Go ahead and get that Dragon Claw off, but unfortunately this Aqua Tail is going to knock me out. Yes, and I am able to knock out this Dragonair, but unfortunately he still has that Victory Bell, and I'm trying to undertap, but it's not, I couldn't, and he sends out Victory Bell with the charge move ready, and that's going to be GG for my Whiscash, and GG for the round. So Sir Chris, congratulations, you beat me. I think that's one of the first times that you've beaten me in head-to-head competition, so congratulations. Yeah, so I'm 1-1 right now. Not a great start, but not terrible. I can still go 4-1, which I end up doing. But yeah, let's go on to the next round. Alright, so getting into this third round, I am going up against Hybrid Battery. He is from another community, so it's his first time being in the El Cerrito community. Let's get into the battle. So leading off, I go with Lapras, he goes with Lapras. So this is a mirror match. If you guys don't know how to play this, is that you want to get the Skull Bashes off first to raise your defense. So I'm going to go ahead and get this Skull Bash off first. We both end up getting an extra Ice Shard. He decides to let that go though. So my defense raises, I actually get an extra Ice Shard off right there, a piggyback of some sort. He goes ahead and uses Surf, he shield baits me, and that's totally fine. I get another Ice Shard off right there, if you saw that. So now I go ahead and block this Skull Bash right here. I get off my own Skull Bash right here. So now my defense is raised 2 times, and I should be able to get this Surf off. Yes, I do. And if he doesn't block this, it is going to knock him out. Oh no, it doesn't knock him out, but I am able to farm him down. He's going to get a charge move off right here. I'm not sure if it's going to be Surf or Skull Bash. It's Skull Bash, but I am defense raised by 2, so that is perfectly fine with me. He goes ahead and brings in Dragonair. I'm trying to get this Skull Bash, and I do. So this is going to deal a significant amount of damage if he does not block. If he does block, that's totally fine as well. He decides not to block that, so I got a ton of damage off on him. My Lapras is going to deal a lot of damage to this Ninetales, but he's going to block it. He has 1 more shield, but getting that extra Surf off and burning that shield is amazing. Send out Whiscash, and this is all but over. I am going to get this Mud Bomb off right after he gets his charge move. Whether it's Overheat or Psy Shock, it's not going to knock out my Whiscash, so he's going to get another charge move off right here. I know I can take it. I know I'm going to need at least 2 Mud Bombs to knock out this Ninetales, so that's perfectly fine. Get a little bit of lag right there. You see that little bit of lag. I don't think it's going to affect me because he gets this next charge move off, and I am going to have to bring in my Dragonair. If it did affect the outcome of the game, then I might have asked for a restart, but because it did not affect the outcome of the game, we just let it go. So 1-0 in favor of me. Going on to the second battle. Alright, so for the second battle, I decided to go with the same team. Lead off with Lapras, bring Dragonair, bring Whiscash. And the reason why I do that, I didn't get to mention this in for the first battle, but most of his team is going to lose against Whiscash, right? So everything except for Venusaur is going to lose to Whiscash. Or it's going to be a very close matchup. And my Lapras can take out a good amount of his team, right? His Sudowoodo is going to deal super effective damage to my Lapras, so I do have to worry about that. But Lapras can actually beat Venusaur if I double shield, so that's a plus for me. And has pretty neutral matchups against everything else. Neutral to positive matchups against everything else. And I bring Dragonair because outside of Lapras and Celio, Dragonair will win most of these other matchups. So yeah, let's get on to the second battle. Going right into this second battle, he leads off with Sudowoodo against my Lapras. This is a bad matchup for me, but I am going to be dealing neutral damage, and I am going to get this Surf off first. And if he does not block it, it's going to deal super effective damage, but he is going to block, and I am going to try to switch, but I don't switch. Instead, I opt to shield this Rock Slide. Now I switch into my Whiscash, and Whiscash is doing super effective damage. He decides not to switch right away, and I am able to get this Mud Bomb off. He eats that super effective damage and then switches into his Venusaur. So now I'm trying to get to this Blizzard. I'm going to block it because I don't want this energy just wasted, right? I get this Blizzard off, and it's going to deal super effective damage if he does not shield it. He decides not to shield it, and so he may have thought that I was trying to bait him, but I'm able to get this Mud Bomb off on this Dragonair as well. So at this point, it's just bonus damage. He decides to shield that one. So I'm just super lucky right now. I have a Lapras, I have a Dragonair. I bring my Lapras back in, dealing super effective damage to this Dragonair. I have no more shields, so whatever he decides to use is going to hit me. He uses Wrap, does not knock me out. So he decides to switch, and he has a charge move ready on his Sudowoodo. That's kind of interesting. I'm pretty sure he could have knocked me out, but I bring in my Dragonair, knock out that Sudowoodo. So now it's Dragonair versus Dragonair, but my Dragonair has a decent amount more health than his, and I'm pretty sure he did not charge up to another Wrap, so that's perfectly fine. I have my own Aqua Tail, and that's going to knock out his Dragonair, and that is GG for the second battle. So at this point, I know I have the round in the bag, but we're going to do the last battle just for completion's sakes and for good practice. So going on to the third battle. Okay, so going into this third battle, I decide to do something a little bit weird. I think I go Victory Bell, Lapras, Dragonair. No, I go Victory Bell. What do I do? Victory Bell, Lapras, Dragonair. Okay, so I go Victory Bell, Lapras, Dragonair. So I switch out my Whiscash for Victory Bell. And luckily for me, I catch his Celio in the lead. So this is a positive matchup. He decides to switch into Dragonair, and I'm going to switch straight into Lapras. So this is a positive matchup for Lapras. I'm going to go ahead and get this Surf off. Even though it's Dragonair is resisting that water damage, it's going to deal a decent chunk of damage, enough for me to get to farm down his Dragonair with my Ice Shard. So Ice Shard it down, didn't have to burn a shield, and he sends out Celio. So he's going to get a Body Slam off right here, I believe. And I go ahead and shield that because I want to get to that Skull Bash. Let's see if I can get to it. Oh, he gets to his Body Slam first, and I decide to double shield my Lapras. And that's because I want to be able to try to burn some shields. So he knows I have a Skull Bash at this point. Go ahead and go for the Surf. He shields it, so I know he had 2 shields, so I knew he was going to block at least one of them. He's gonna go ahead and double shield his Celio. So he brings out his Venusaur, and I'm able to get my last Surf off. It's not going to deal a ton of damage, but some chip damage before I faint, that's perfectly fine with me. So at this point, I have a pretty fully charged Victory Belt, but I know Dragonair will knock out this Venusaur in a better matchup. He decides to use Frenzy Plant, which I'm not sure is the right move against me, but he's gonna get a second Frenzy Plant off, and that is going to hurt and knock out my Dragonair because I have no more shields. But I do send out my Victory Bell and knock it out with Razor Leafs, and he sends out Celio with a charge move. If it's Aurora Beam, I'm dead. Body Slam, I'm okay. Let's see if I can get to the Sludge Bomb. I get to the Sludge Bomb with like a sliver of HP left, and that's going to do it. So if I had lost that round, that would have been because I did not have Leaf Blade on my Victory Belt, which would have been the worst case scenario. Luckily for me, I was able to pull that battle off, and the lack of a Leaf Blade has not come back to haunt me so far. So we're gonna get to the next round, and yeah, so far I am 2-1, losing only to Sir Chris. Okay, so getting into round 4, I am facing off against one of my good friends, Editor Guy. You've seen him in my other videos. He's a moderator for El Cerrito, and he's always super supportive, always doing things for the community. So thank you, Editor Guy, for always looking out for the community, right? You're always helping more, like you're usually really patient, more so than I've been. So just want to give a shout out to you. But moving right along, he has a Whiscash, Celio, Drapion, Victory Bell, Kingdra, and Venusaur. So what you will notice is that he does not have a Lapras, which is kind of interesting. Instead, he's opting for the Celio. The Drapion is kind of an interesting choice. A lot of people have been running Bite instead of Ice Fang with the addition of Fell Stinger. So that's going to be, I'm not sure which one he's running, but my assumption is that he's running Bite. That seems to be the more popular option at this point. He is running Double Grass, so more than likely I'm going to be running Charizard, but I do have to worry about the Drapion with the Aqua Tail, because Aqua Tail does hit Charizard pretty hard. But yeah, let's just see how we do going into this first battle. Alright, so I lead off with Lapras, he leads off with Drapion. So I believe Lapras will win this, and it looks like his Drapion is running Bite, and you see how much damage that Bite is dealing to my Lapras. It's just dealing a lot of damage. He does decide to stick with it with his Drapion, and he's going to use a charge move right here. My assumption is Fell Stinger, so I guessed that correctly. Either way, it wouldn't have done too much damage to me. go ahead and get this second surf off right here. His bites are dealing more damage at this point. He decides to block that second surf, and I'm going to go ahead and just use this surf just because I want to knock out this Drapion and make sure I get that switch advantage without having to burn a shield. So he switches into Kingdra. I believe I switch into Victory Bell. No, I switch into Dragonair. And so this may have been a bad option for me. I don't think this was the right choice. Victory Bell may have been the better option, but I am able to knock out his Kingdra, and he sends out Victory Bell. So now it's Victory Bell versus Victory Bell. I do have a shield. I do have the shield advantage, so as long as I can get to that Sludge Bomb, that's perfectly fine. He goes ahead and burns off one of my shields, but I am going to get to that Sludge Bomb before he gets to another charge move. So that's going to be GG for the first battle. So I saved my shields for Victory Bell, knowing that Victory Bell will deal heavy fast attack damage. All I needed to do was just survive those charge moves. So the longer that Victory Bell is in the battle, the more damage it can do, right? And I know most of his Pokemon aren't resisting grass types other than his 2 grass types, right? So I knew Victory Bell was relatively safe in terms of raw damage. But yeah, it worked out for me. And on to the second battle. Okay, so for the second battle, I am going to lead off with Victory Bell, bring in Lapras and Dragonair. So pretty much the same team that I ran in the last one, except I swapped the flow, as Hero Range would say it. Anyways, pretty much I'm bringing Victory Bell in the lead rather than Lapras in the lead now, so to try to deal more damage. The thing is, Drapion is going to be resisting those Razor Leafs. That's something that just slipped my mind a second ago when I was talking about Razor Leaf dealing strong damage. So Razor Leaf will deal neutral to super effective damage to half of his team, and not very effective damage to the other half of his team. But lead off with Victory Bell, bring in Lapras and Dragonair. Let's see how we do. Sorry, I take that back. Take that back. I lead off Lapras, bring in Victory Bell and Dragonair. So I'm pretty much doing the same thing as I did the last battle. So Lapras into Whiscash. So this is a pretty close matchup. I'm pretty much just trying to get these surfs off and make sure that he does not what am I trying to say? Make sure he does not knock out my Lapras for free. I go ahead and go with the Skull Bash to raise my defense because those bites are going to just be chomping away at my Lapras. So getting that defense buff as early as possible is a good idea. So he goes ahead and gets that Fell Stinger off, raises his attack, but my defense is raised by 2, so I am still going to be getting a net positive defense boost. And he did have to shield, and unfortunately he does knock out my Lapras. I was trying to be greedy and save that surf for the next Pokemon. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I send out Dragonair, get 1 Dragon Breath. He sends out Whiscash with energy charged up. I decide to shield this. Luckily, it is a Blizzard, and I switch into my Victory Bell, get a couple of Razor Leafs off, but he sends in Celio, so this is still a positive matchup for me. Sends a charge move my way, and I decide to let this go. Aurora Beam. He gets the Aurora Beam off on me, and unfortunately I do not block it. Gets another charge move off right here. I do not think he gets to another Aurora Beam, but I block it anyways because I don't want to take another Aurora Beam. It's just bad news. So he sends out Whiscash. I have an Aqua Tail ready. It's gonna burn this shield. I don't think I needed to use it. He gets a charge move. If it's a Blizzard, it's GG, but I don't think he has that energy. Mud Bomb, good. And I use a last Aqua Tail just for good measure, and that's GG for the second battle. So at this point, again, I am guaranteed to win this round, but we're gonna do a third battle just for practice. So let's see how I do. Okay, so this battle I lead off with Victory Bell with Lapras and Dragonair. I feel like that team has been working pretty well against his team, so there's no need to switch it up, because if I bring in Charizard, Kingdra will have a field day, Celio will have a pretty good like matchup against it, Drapion will have a good matchup against it. If I bring in Whiscash, he has double grass, so that's kind of risky. Kingdra, again, double grass, risky. So I think just bringing in the Victory Bell, Lapras, Dragonair combo will just work out really well for me. I just swap the flow, lead off with Victory Bell. Let's see how I do. Lead off Victory Bell against Celio, so I catch the lead again. Again, it's luck, 50-50 chance at this point, so I just go ahead and Razor Leaf him down. He's going to get a charge move off. I decide to shield it this time. It's a body slam. He's going to get another... No, he only gets that one body slam off, and my Victory Bell knocks him out. So he sends out his Drapion. I am going to use a charge move right here. It's going to be Acid Spray to lower his defense, to maybe do some more damage with those Razor Leafs, and it does deal a decent amount of damage with those Razor Leafs. This point, I think he has a charge move ready, so I just have to keep that in mind. It's going to use a charge move right here. Fell Stinger deals not much damage, but he does raise his defense, his attack up. But now it's Kingdra versus Lapras. He's going to get a charge move off right here. If it's Outrage, it's going to knock out my Lapras. Octazooka. So I guessed correctly. He tried to get the debuff or tried to bait my shield. So I'm going to go ahead and get this Skull Bash. He's going to block it. It raised my defense, but it's not very... It doesn't matter too much. I just wanted to burn that shield. Make sure I burn that shield or knock him out. Get this Aqua Tail off on this Drapion, burn that shield. He's gonna maybe knock me out. It's gonna be close. Nope, I am able to get to this Aqua Tail and knock out his Drapion. He's gonna send out his Kingdra, I believe. Nope, I knocked out his Kingdra with my Dragonair, so that's GG. Good games in that third battle. I think I just got really lucky with my leads, right? Like, half his team is resisting Razor Leafs, half his team is weak or neutral to Razor Leaf, and I just caught one that was weak to Razor Leaf, right? Sometimes you just have to be lucky, and in this tournament I would say I was very lucky, and yeah, I'll take it. On to the last round. Right now I'm 3-1 and facing off against a very strong opponent. So some of you guys may recognize this name. It's Mushroom King. He is all over the place in Pokemon Go. He helps run the communities out in San Francisco. He comes to El Cerrito's tournaments because he works in Emeryville. So thanks, Mushroom King, for always showing up, always being a big part of the PvP community and Pokemon Go in general. So shout out to you. And going into this battle, he's been actually doing really well. He's usually known to bring in very off-meta teams, but this season he's been kind of going a little bit more meta, and we kind of had a discussion about why he's decided to do that a little bit more this season. And it makes sense. He puts a ton of time and a ton of effort into researching his Pokemon and learning matchups and stuff, and by playing off-meta, he kind of puts himself at a slight disadvantage. I would say more than a slight disadvantage. He's playing with a decent handicap put up against him, so still likes his spicy picks, such as like a Gastrodon, right? So anyways, he has Gastrodon, a Blaziken, and a Dugong, so those three are kind of spicy. Gastrodon is probably the spiciest pick he has there. Body Slam, and I forgot what the other move was, but Body Slam is probably the more common move, and it's using Mud Slap instead of Mud Shot, so it's gonna deal more damage. It recently got buffed, so yeah, let's see how I do. So going into this battle, I lead off with Whiscash against a Victory Bell. This is a terrible matchup. I have to get out of this as soon as I can. I go ahead and switch into Lapras. Oh man, he doesn't switch out. So at this point, I'm kind of just like stuck using whatever I can. I was hoping that he would switch, and he does block that surf, and he uses a charge move right here. So that's actually positive for me. He wastes his energy. I'm going to wait out this switch timer as much as I can. And I'm going to bring in my Charizard to try to farm down this Victory Bell. He sends out Dugong. Dugong is going to deal a significant amount of damage. I charge up to Blast Burn and go ahead and use Dragon Claw. He decides to shield that. And now I'm up 2 shields to 0. And this move is going to deal a significant amount of damage if I do not block it. I do block it, and I do get a debuff. And I'm going to bring my Whiscash in against his Dugong. Get this Mud Bomb off, and he's going to get these those ice shards off on me, and it's going to deal neutral damage. I'm assuming there's going to be another Icy Wind. Neutral damage to me. Attack fell again. Man, those attack falls are pretty significant, right? Mud Bomb and that attack debuff really hurts. He sends out Victory Bell, knocks out my Whiscash with 1 Razor Leaf, and I have a Charizard with some energy stored up right now. I have to block this Icy Wind. That attack fall, I am able to knock out his Dugong. He has a Pokemon. I go ahead and get this Blast Burn off, but it does like no damage, right? Gastrodon is water and ground, so that is dealing immune, double resisted. So I should have done Dragon Claws instead, but it doesn't matter anyways. He gets another charge move off right here. Body Slam knocks out my Charizard. GG. So Mushroom King is able to take the first battle. Good lead, and he played that very well. Charizard versus Gastrodon is no bueno, right? Even though I'm resisting those mud slaps. Okay, so what's really cool about Mushroom King is that we were actually talking, and I forgot that ground resists fire. So I thought it was only single resisted, and yeah, that was my mistake. Gastrodon and the Mud Boys double resist fire moves, so keep that in mind if you still have your tournament coming up. Anyways, instead I lead off with Charizard this time. I don't want to lead a Whiscash into a Victory Bell. So Charizard actually has positive matchups against a lot of his team, or neutral matchups against a lot of his team. Has a positive matchup against Blaziken because I'm running Air Slash. Air Slash is super effective against the fighting type of Blaziken. Air Slash is super effective against Victory Bell. Neutral damage to Dugong, neutral damage to Gastrodon, neutral damage to Dragonair, neutral damage to Drapion. So Air Slash is neutral to super effective damage to his whole team. So leading off with Charizard while I still have shields is definitely an okay situation. Dragonair is going to have that super effective charge move in Aqua Tail. Icy Wind is going to deal a significant amount of damage. Also, Aqua Tail on Drapion is going to hurt. And Drapion hits Charizard pretty hard because Charizard is kind of squishy. It has a very high attack stat, relatively low defense stat, and relatively low stamina stat. But I am bringing in Lapras and Victory Bell to kind of shore up the matchups that Charizard does bad in. So let's see how I do. Okay, so getting into the battle, I lead off with Charizard. He leads off with Dugong. So this is not the best matchup, but I am dealing neutral damage, and he is dealing neutral damage back to me. So what I'm trying to do is build up as much energy as I can and try to kind of fake that I'm going to go for a Blast Burn. He goes ahead and gets an Icy Wind off. That deals a significant amount of damage. I take it though, and I switch into my Victory Bell. He switches into his own Victory Bell. And I'm going to go for the Acid Spray. We both have shields, so we're probably going to use it. He goes ahead and blocks my Acid Spray. I am able to get an extra Razor Leaf, but he goes ahead and shield baits me with the Leaf Blade. So he's going to get to his Sludge Bomb first, and that's totally fine though because we're both very low on health. Gets that Leaf Blade off. I am going to bring back out I think. No, I send out my Lapras, get a slight energy advantage right there. He sends out Dugong, and he's going to get a charge move right here. I believe it's going to be Icy Wind. If he gets the attack debuff, yes, he gets the attack debuff, and that hurts pretty bad. I'm going to go for the Surf. He knows that I have a Skull Bash ready. Not sure if he decides to block. Luckily for me, he decides to block that. These Icy Winds are not going to deal too much damage to me. I think that was a visual glitch. That should not have done that much damage to me, but it looks like it did. I go ahead and send out my Charizard and deal a decent amount of damage. Get another Dragon Claw off right here. And he's just going to knock me out with one Mud Slap. And I send my Lapras back out. You see how much damage how much health I actually have. So I think that was a visual glitch. It was kind of weird. He gets a Body Slam off on me right here. I get this Skull Bash off on him. It's gonna deal a decent chunk of damage to that Gastrodon. I get one more Ice Shard off, and it's Dugong versus Lapras, and I have the defense buff. He's gonna get this charge move off, Icy Wind, but it's double resisted, plus I have that defense buff, so this Surf should be able to knock out this Dugong, and that's GG. But a lot of switching, a lot of stat manipulation. Mushroom King definitely did his homework and knows how to play those matchups, so good on you. Going on to the last battle. Whoever wins this wins the round, and whoever wins the round ends up 4-1. It's kind of a spoiler earlier, so you already know who won, but you should see how this goes anyways, because it could have easily flipped the other way. So for this last battle against Mushroom King, I decided to go with Charizard, Lapras, and Victory Bell. It worked the last round, so I'm hoping that it'll work this round. And last round, he got a lot of attack debuffs. Actually, I think Icy Wind automatically puts an attack debuff on. It's 100% chance attack debuff, so he just knows how to play that really well. And if I won the last one, I should be able to win this one if we use the same teams. If he uses something different, then I'll have to work around it, right? But if it worked last time, don't fix it. See how I do. Alright, getting straight into the battle. Charizard versus Gastrodon. So this is a bad matchup for me. Actually, it's kind of neutral because he's dealing not very effective damage to me, and I'm dealing neutral damage back to him, except Gastrodon is much tankier than Charizard. Those Dragon Claws are going to be dealing neutral damage to him. This charge move right here, Body Slam, would have done neutral damage back to me, but I think I charge up energy much faster than him. He's going to get a charge move off right here, and I believe it's another Body Slam, and he's going to switch out right away into Drapion. Drapion is going to be resisting my Razor Leafs. But I knew Gastrodon was the only Pokemon that I really needed Victory Bell for, especially since he didn't... Yeah, like I knew Gastrodon was the main purpose of my Victory Bell, so I knew I could sack it. So I bring in Lapras, go ahead and get this Surf off right here, and right here is where I think he lost the battle. He should have shielded that. He has 2 shields. If he had shielded it, like, he could have dealt way more damage to my Lapras. Didn't make too much sense to me, but was able to get a Surf off and a few Ice Shards off on that Victory Bell. Was able to get enough damage on that Victory Bell, and he decides to block that Dragon Claw. I'm able to hit that Gastrodon for neutral damage with my Air Slashes and knock out his Victory Bell with my Air Slashes as well. So let's take a look at that again, because that was kind of weird, right? Like he left with 1 shield left, and my Lapras did significant, super effective damage to his Victory Bell. I feel like that was where he lost the game. He said it right when we did it too. Right when he decided not to shield that, he said it right there. He's like, I think I may have just lost the game. So right after he did it, he knew exactly what had just happened. because he saw my Pokemon already. So here we go. He's going to use Fell Stinger right here. He's dealing neutral and boosted damage to me. He has approximately 30% of his health still, and he's dealing damage to me consistently, right? So he lets that go, and he brings in Victory Bell. And at this point, I'm just trying to deal as much damage as I can with my Ice Shards. And he's going to, yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of point that out because we both had a discussion about it after the match about how he could have won that, or it might have made it much closer. In my opinion, I think he would have won that because dealing more damage to my Lapras, I would not have been able to fast attack his Victory Bell down the same way that I did otherwise, right? He had 2 shields left. Yeah, his Victory Bell would have just did work against my Charizard. Even though it's double resisted, Charizard is pretty squishy, and it came down to maybe a few HP in the end. So anyways, Mushroom King is definitely someone that you need to keep an eye on this season. His ranking, his rival ranking, is just because he battles against really high competition. So ranking doesn't mean anything. Just because I'm a challenger, it does not mean anything. People beat me all the time, and that's not because they're lucky, that's because they're good. I'm lucky. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the video. I ended up going 4-1. Congratulations to I'm Too Salty for you. He ended up sweeping the tournament, beating Sir Chris in the finals. So huge shout out to you. Congratulations. I am already prepping for Fusion Cup. I'm very excited to start making videos again. Yeah, if you guys haven't already, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already yet, make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the content that I make. Also, if you want to help me out, I'm trying to get to the Orlando tournament in January. I need a little bit of help getting there, though. I have created a GoFundMe page. So if you're interested, no pressure. I'm leaving the link in the description section down below. And that's pretty much it. Till next time, guys, this is Bestinwest. I'll catch you guys later.